All right, guys. So I'm gonna jump into this right now. So yeah, so we're gonna just do a quick little crash course. I'm gonna try to cram in as much information as I can in 1 hour for doing the real stuff here. Just set that. All right, so just some of the stuff that we're gonna kind of go over. Can you guys see my screen here, by the way?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, all right. So just a quick, I'm gonna just do a quick little introduction of myself. My name is Stephen Wilcox. I've been kind of working with Unreal Engine now for about 5 years, based out of Tokyo, Japan. My background kind of started. I was just like this, just very curious about using Unreal Engine. I was just using it as like a fun little hobby. I was an audience of one for about 2 years, just kind of like no one really understood like what I was doing in my kind of circle of friends, but I felt like it was a really good tool that I could make some movies with. I had some ideas. And so yeah, the kind of turning point for me was like I had this idea for a film and I had the script, I had everything ready, but just didn't have any budget to make it. So I was like pretty bummed about that. I was like, well, how can I make this film without making this film? So I kind of went and deep dived into kind of Unreal, and I realized like, well, there's definitely ways we can kind of make movies, we can pre-visit. And so yeah, early on I kind of had a pretty good idea for this. And then yeah, I was just kind of playing around with Unreal for a little while. And then yeah, I quickly realized that yeah, you can just like there's so much you can do with it. And at the time I was working with working as like in the nightclubs. I would spend like 1 month in Tokyo and then 1 month abroad, just kind of traveling with these DJs. And yeah, I found that I started kind of getting into like the virtual concerts. I had just kind of like the green background with for the DJs, and then yeah, I just kind of started working on the virtual concerts, and then from there, I kind of jumped into the motion capture, and then from the motion capture, kind of got into LED virtual production, and was working on quite a few virtual productions here in Tokyo. And now I just started my company this year and kind of do my own thing. So really focusing on education and creating a feature film that I'm working on right now. And so yeah, so just like an overview, we're gonna kind of go into storyboarding and concept, and also a little bit of like how using AI to kind of use concept, and then we'll also use later on. I'll introduce Alpesh. He's going to be coming on and kind of going through his process of how he uses concept art, and we'll go through that workflow. We'll go through level blocking. A really good tool I use all the time is Supergrid. We'll kind of talk about that. We'll go through level design, bridge, location scouting. I use this plugin called Cesium. Basically streams the API Google Maps data into Unreal in real time. So really good tool. We'll go talk about lighting and ultra dynamic sky, character design. We'll talk about CC4 and MetaHuman, mocap, animation pipeline. I use Rococo, LiveLink, and recently I've been kind of playing with Move AI. And then finally, we'll just kind of talk a little bit about rendering. So this was kind of my very, very early setup. I just had like a green screen kind of in my little apartment here. And then I set it up, up into Unreal. And there's a little screenshot of me just kind of having, this is like one of my first deep dives into using a green screen. Basically creating a plane, like a green screen plane, and then just keying it out in Unreal. And then that was the basic concept that I was using for the DJs. So this is my little mocap set that I had up. And then this was at the nightclub that I was kind of working with. And then with that, I would actually kind of create these these little virtual sets you can kind of see here. And then from there, I was actually kind of really curious, like where I kind of began with it was, creating like little virtual set designs. So I started creating little sets using Character Creator. And then, yeah, I just kind of expanded these ideas out. And then I started just kind of coming up with like kind of cinematic ideas or shots that I was like, oh, this would be really cool for a film one day. Still have them, and I'd love to, play with them. Yeah, so kind of the virtual production, this is what kind of really was kind of like the pivotal point for me into kind of making Unreal Engine, I would say, a career. So I was able to just make these virtual sets, and then go to DJ here. And maybe I can show you guys some of these a little bit later. They're all on the website. I can send you guys a link to that. Yeah, so yeah, we just kind of did a big deep dive into Unreal, and it was just like having a lot of fun making these virtual sets, and then having, you know, the centerpiece is this DJ. And I kind of programmed like a bunch of virtual cameras. I had like 1 to 9 as like the keys that we could kind of go in there. And then this one was really fun. This was like a full virtual set that I basically had up, and even the DJ was we did some mocap with the DJ, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. This was for like iFlyer and 101 trackless. And so yeah, basically, yeah, Corona hit, and yeah, the nightclubs had just pretty much shut down, and I had basically full reign to kind of play with the DJs. It was a lot of fun. Did some 3D scanning, did some mocap with them, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then basically kind of moved over to doing LED virtual production. So I was doing LED virtual production for some like pretty big projects, or some of the biggest projects in Japan. This is a little set of the brain bar that we had, and this was a 20 meter by 5 meter, and then we had, I believe, a 7 by 7 meter. We were using the Moses tracking system, so I love Moses. I think it's a really good setup for areas that are, I guess, above 10 meters in size. And so yeah, we did like full virtual production. We had set design, we had the actors, and yeah, so those you can kind of check out on the there was like the NHK doing a lot of stuff for them, so that was a lot of fun. So kind of getting into the filmmaking side, I think all ideas, you know, they got to start from, you know, you got to start from something. You got to create a script. And what I've actually been, what I'll kind of start off first is I'll just kind of create some bullet points of like the idea that I have. And I by no means can draw. Like I'm at best stickman. So this is just a little bit of like some of the images that I have from my previs. So I have these like a storyboard template. I've got a few lines where I can kind of just like write some notes. And then basically what I'll do is kind of go from this over to this. So that's kind of the goal. My aim and my goal is to not only, you know, teach the Unreal side, but also really get people confident with just getting like very rough ideas down, just as like even rough sketches. So even like having a circle with like a little T kind of representing where the face is pointing. So kind of going from this, and then he's kind of like going to this. So once you have kind of like a very basic idea going into Unreal, then we can kind of start to kind of build and shape these ideas. So this is another one. I like to sketch a lot. And so this is a concept for this idea I have called Time Traveler's Diary. And it's about this time traveler. He's very like Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider-esque. So yeah, I just kind of did some rough sketches, and then kind of made this out here. Got my little pirate ship out here, a little helicopter. So yeah, been having a lot of fun with that. One of my favorite tools I like to kind of play with is called Supergrid Starter Pack. This is a pack that I really enjoy. Let me see if I can. Yeah, maybe I will bring that. Yeah, so I'll just kind of show you guys this here. Just minimize that. So what I will do, my Canyon block. There you go. There we go. So what I'll do is I will just kind of like do a very rough block out of what I'm thinking from my ideas, and then I'll just kind of slide in a little mannequin here. And the really cool thing about Supergrid Starter Pack is, I'll show you this, you can scale your blocks, right, and it keeps the grid scale and size. So you can kind of know each one of these little blocks here is kind of represented by 1 meter. So really cool thing about this blueprint is as I'm scaling it, it maintains its it maintains the grid size. So I really like this, and it also has a lot of other little shapes that you can kind of play with. Let me see if I can find StarKit source. Blueprints. Yeah, it's also got some really cool blueprints for there's this wall. Okay. So if you're wanting to build walls, if you hold Alt on this one here, you can just like drag out some walls really, really quick. So this is like really good for kind of like just yeah, just creating walls. It has a really nice stair function. So you can kind of move that around. And so yeah, what I'll do is I'll just kind of start with like a very, very primitive kind of like block shape for what I'm kind of thinking for my idea. Let's see if I can find the issues. No. I get lost. Okay, here we go. So there's so these are all the little tools that they have available, and then the ones that I mostly use is the super good starter blocks. This one goes out from the center, and then there's this one that kind of goes out from the center in both ways. So yeah, so this is a really good tool for prototyping your levels. So it's on the marketplace for free. It's a super grid starter pack, and then basically from the super grid, I'll kind of like just put a character in here, what I'm thinking, my ideas are, and then I will kind of go through this process of kind of like starting to kind of build out and design my levels. So I'll start with the very, very basic primitives in the super grid. And then I'll start to kind of get some like very, very basic camera angles in there, maybe just to kind of give me an idea. And I'll usually lock my camera into viewport so I can kind of see what's going to be in frame. And then I'll just kind of pop back into this here. So then, yeah, basically I'll take this, the kind of the grid material, and then I might actually go into my materials, block out. And then I'll probably just like throw on some like, all right, well, this is going to be a canyon level. And I'll kind of get some like basic shapes in here for like what I'm thinking. Maybe I want like the rocks to kind of look like this. Some a little bit lighter, some a little darker. And then where's my camera? I've lost my camera. Okay. So then I'll just probably like pop a little cine camera actor in here. I'll just pilot. That's one. And then, yeah, so I'll just like figure out, maybe I kind of like this frame here. Cool. And then there's a little pin preview. So I'll just kind of have that on there. And then what I'll do is I'll go into Megascans. It's a really amazing tool. So I can bring my thing up here. So within Megascans and like I think it's after 5.1. I'm using 5.1. I think it's after Unreal Engine 5. That we can really start, we have a bridge actually integrated right in. So these are some like the Canyon assets that I was using. Let's see if I can actually go ahead and just bring that up. So in Unreal, if you actually just pop here and Pixel Bridge, it'll kind of open up Bridge for you. And then if I go into my 3D asset, I think it's in Canyon. If I go into Canyon, yeah, so these are all some of like the assets I've used for this particular one. And then what you'll do is you'll simply just like, you'll click this and you can actually just export Nanite, and it'll just export it directly into Unreal. And so it'll kind of go from a level like this to something like this. Oh, canyon lighting, I need that. And then I'll get rid of my blocks. So basically I'm still maintaining my my block out so I can kind of know where things are. And so what I do is I use kind of like a level system. So I'll have like I'll keep my lighting on a different level. Or sorry, I'll keep got my lighting here. I'll keep that on a different level. And that way I can have, maybe I have a night lighting, I have a day lighting, I have a I just have all these different lightings that I don't have to adjust all the parameters. I can just kind of go in here into my levels and just kind of adjust and tweak as I need. Yeah, so then, yeah, so basically end up creating these like levels, and then these are just a couple other example levels. A tool that I really do like is World Creator. So World Creator actually got a massive update. It can actually it works with Bridge now, so you can make these really amazing terrains in World Creator. This is a pretty old one. This was actually the first one I made. I should probably update that. But yeah, for creating like landscapes, I think that is something like for massive landscapes. This is like probably my favorite tool I like working with. Um, yeah, and so then once I've kind of got everything all up to date, and then I'll kind of go in there with my lighting. So let me take a look here. So this is like another little sequence here that I'll probably show. I was going to show say more for like the animation, but yeah, I'll kind of go in here with the camera and I'll find like some like lighting spots I like. I think I've got this one set up with the Control L, so I can actually we hold Control and L, and then I'll kind of go in there with like the shots that I've kind of got set up, and I'll kind of like look at like the areas and like the lighting types that I want. I'll figure out once I've got my camera in there and in with my sequencer. Just play this one out here. This animation was used using Move AI, which I'll kind of talk about in a sec. But what I'll do is once I've got my level kind of builds out, I'll throw in kind of like the animation that I've kind of got set up. And I'll actually just go through just kind of screen recording my first kind of round. And I'll just like kind of find these like nice angles that I like. I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. And the whole time is just going to be recording what I'm doing here. So maybe I'll like, oh yeah, that was cool there. And then maybe I'll kind of get some like other angles. And at this point, I'm just kind of exploring, like, oh wow, like maybe, you know, there's some things like a storyboard, you're like, all right, I'll have a general idea of like what this is going to be like. And then I'll just kind of play. So I'll build my level, I'll kind of light it out the way I'm kind of thinking. And then I'll just kind of find these like really fun angles where I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I'm like over here and there's like, oh, I kind of maybe like this in the way, or maybe if I have my camera up here, what is that going to look like? And then maybe I'll kind of like tuck it back here, and maybe this is going to be a slower shot, or like maybe the camera's kind of come around here. So yeah, I'll just kind of go in and kind of play. So yeah, as far as like lighting goes, I'll see like at different angles, like, oh, maybe here, I kind of like, I want the, oh, come on, light. Oh, I've lost my light. There we go. That's, maybe I want my light to frame him. There we go. That's kind of cool. I like that. So yeah, so once the level is kind of like built out, I'll kind of go through and just kind of like play with the lighting, figure out where the lighting works in certain angles, and I'll just kind of like adjust it. So it's like a little bit of like a dance that I kind of play. So let's just kind of go ahead and pause that. So yeah, so for lighting, I'll just kind of go in and just kind of like tweak that. The one of the plugins that I really like using, if you go into the marketplace, this is going to load up. Sometimes it's kind of, I use Ultra Dynamic Sky. So this is definitely like one of my go-to plugins. Yeah, definitely a big fan of this one. So you can control like it's basically a drag and drop plugin you can use for your scenes, and yeah, definitely an amazing tool. You should definitely check that one out. What else we got here? Okay, so then yeah, I'll basically just I'll normally just drop in like a default metahuman into my project, and yeah, so let's see. So yeah, I think this is just like one of the default ones, but the way to put a metahuman in your scene, I love that everything is just coming back to Bridge. So if I go to Quixel Bridge, and then I'll go on to my metahumans, and then yeah, so this is, I've got this guy here, Aoi. I can just click on him, and then if I just hit this export to highest quality, it would actually come into my scene. So I've got a few other metahumans that I've made. I don't know if you guys have played with the metahuman creator. Version 5.2 is pretty amazing. So yeah, if you have a chance, definitely check that out. So the workflow and pipeline I'm using right now is kind of a hybrid between metahuman and character creator. So all these characters here, these are metahuman, 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 and then this one here is just purely a character creator. So the reason character creator by no means is cheap. It's just yeah, there's just a lot of little things that you need to kind of add onto it, it seems. Which is kind of annoying that every update you have, it's not a perpetual, like you have it, but there's always these things that you have to update. So every year you're spending about, I don't know, about $1,000, $2,000 just like updating all the little fun things that they add. So, but what's really cool now is that you can actually take a character creator force head and you can actually throw that export as a metahuman. So you can take the metahuman body and then you still have the same control rig or the character creator as you would have metahuman, which is pretty fun. Yeah, so love making. I'm working on a feature film right now, and I've got a ton of characters. So if yeah, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge creating all these characters, but I think with this pipeline, it's definitely going to be the way to go. Yeah, so motion capture, I'm a big fan. I love my Rococo suits. I think it's great, but one of the downsides to the Rococo I've found is that it doesn't work well with another suit. But they just released this new update called the coil. It's a thing you can buy, and it kind of is supposed to fix the drifting issue, so it might be better. So this is just me here in the Rococo suit, just yeah. And then, so this is the pipeline here. So this is from the Rococo live linked into character creator. And then this is actually iClone here. And then from iClone, we have the Reillusion right here. And so this is the accent suit. This is like for the time travelers concept. I had my friend Duncan, amazing actor. He was kind of helping me out with that. So then from the motion capture, then I kind of throw that into the mix. And then for rendering, so the first kind of time I would say rendering was just kind of like playing with just doing a screen recording and then throwing that into Premiere. And then I'll get a pretty good idea of, you know, the types of shots I want. I usually do like a recording for about 30 minutes and just keep the animation looping. And so I'll just kind of play with a bunch of ideas. And then what I'll do is I'll do a cut. I'll just kind of cut what I'm thinking. I'll throw some music on there. And then I'll use that kind of first draft as kind of like a guide for what I'm going to have into Unreal here, because I really like my background, I come from like editing, just like every week, you know, doing club footage. And so doing the first round of the edit in Premiere for me, of just like this screen recorded footage with the animation being looped, yeah, it saves a lot of time kind of like on the Unreal side. One of the things I want to show you guys, actually, before I jump into kind of like the next thing here, let's see what we got. Yeah, before I jump into like the next part, does anyone have any questions at this point?
Yeah, I do. You had mentioned earlier about when you were working on a landscape, it was something creator. What was that called again?
It's world creator.
World creator. Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's like what runs like what, 400?
You know what? I bought it like almost 3 years ago, and I've updated since. I think it's about like $200 or $300, but I would say now that it has the bridge capability, like I think probably this week, I think for the course that I'm going to be teaching at the beginning of next month, I'm definitely going to have that integrated into the system. So yeah, and anything that's incorporated into bridge now, I'm definitely like a big fan of like buying that, I think.
Okay, world creator.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have any other questions until this point? Okay.
Yes,
cool.
hello.
Yeah, Terrence, go for it.
Yeah, sorry about that. Would like to know a little bit more about the workflow of character creator to metahuman, because me and Pops in Space, that's my father, by the way. We just kind of got into it about a good 6 months ago, and I want to know. This is my first time ever knowing that you could take the head, if I heard that correctly, you could take the head of the CC creator and put it into a metahuman. Now, my question would be is that, first of all, I would like to know more about that. And number two is, how do you set up like a live link to be able to animate? Because I know iClone can take their skeletal mesh and all of that stuff, and you can animate whatever you've done in iClone into Unreal. Is that same way with MetaHuman with their skeletal rig?
Yeah, so in the I'm not going to go too far into detail. This pipeline is something that I go like pretty heavy into in the course, but yeah, I'll just briefly like open up character creator here. But what it is see if I can just open up one of my quick projects here. File open. So yeah, this is just like for those of you who've never had a chance or to play with a character creator, this is the interface for it. And basically, yeah, from this, there's a really good plugin called Headshot. So with Headshot, you can just take a single image and it'll generate a virtual human for you. So this is my friend Giuliano. I'll just show you the headshot here. So this is the input image that I had from him, and then this is kind of what I got out. So you can kind of like customize your own hair, and it does a pretty good job. There's definitely like what's really cool is there's this active sculpt mode. And you can kind of like go in and then you can just kind of have it as a side by side. You can kind of go in, you can adjust his face. And so for me, this is a lot better than what the MetaHuman has to offer. There's a lot of like, it works on the same principle as like a video game, in my opinion. So you have like all of your sliders. So there's like a pack called the 1000 Morphs pack where you can kind of like show you here. So you can kind of like even go extreme. Where's a extreme example I can show you guys? Even bodybuilder, so you can be like much bigger. We can do really skinny, or we can do like really fat. So there's a lot of capabilities here. And then to answer your question, it's actually really simple how to kind of export the head. So if you go to File and then Export Head, and then you have your CC4, and then you can have the target. He's a male, so we'll do MetaHuman male, and then you just go ahead and export. And then the other thing that you were kind of curious about is I can actually export this over to send to iClone. So I'd send this character over to iClone, and then from iClone, there's actually the capability of having live link. So the workflow that I teach in the course, definitely not going to be able to. I can kind of like very briefly brush the surface on that, but yeah, basically the workflow goes from like Rococo, which I will open up this here quickly. So you go from the not second. Do this quick here. Right, so we've got our character. He's coming on over to. He's just going to take a second there, and then we've got a Rococo. He's coming in there, and sample project. So I'll just give you guys a quick little overview of. Let's do like counting to 5. So this is the Rococo interface here. And then, so what you can do is, so you can start, what you can do is you start a live stream. This is like an additional fee. I don't have it right now, but this is a kind of a workflow that I do teach in the course starting next month. As we have the live stream, this data goes over to iClone here, and then from iClone, it's piped in directly into Unreal. There's another pipe. There's basically two pipelines that I teach, and there's the Rococo directly into Unreal, working with the metahumans, and then the second pipeline that I teach is going from Rococo to iClone to Unreal. So there's two pipelines. They both have their pros and cons. It really depends on the project, what you're going for. I think iClone is absolutely amazing. They have this new function where you can mirror your Unreal scene with your iClone scene, and then when you move something in iClone, it moves it in Unreal. So I
Right.
really like this. I really like this workflow, and it's like one of the things I'm most excited about teaching my students is like that Rococo to Unreal to iClone pipeline. So that to me is like I'm always very excited to teach that part. So yeah, there's a lot of documentation, but it did take me a long time to kind of figure out through kind of trial and error what is the best way to kind of go about this. So yeah, I don't know how I don't know if I can spend too much time on this topic, but if you do have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you do have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to know if I know like you touched upon, I don't want take up too much time. The live link part of I
Yeah.
just wanted to know if you can live link a skeletal mesh that's in iClone and it will link up with something that's the skeletal mesh of MetaHuman. That if you know, no worry. If you know, I appreciate it. If not, don't worry about it. I appreciate it though.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never tried to like live link it to a MetaHuman before, because yeah, the way that iClone works is you actually drop an iClone origin point into the scene, and then from that you can actually just do like a character transfer. So it's that pipeline is usually better for, so if it's going to be a pure MetaHuman, I would actually do Rococo directly to MetaHuman, because that pipeline is just more efficient. And then if you're wanting to use the Reallusion characters, then that makes sense to kind of go that pipeline. So
oh, okay, I get
yeah,
you.
it wouldn't really make sense. Yeah, there'd be no reason why you'd want to do Rococo to iClone to MetaHuman, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, I haven't really figured out
Okay,
why
because
we would do that, but
I don't own a suit or a Rococo suit. I mean, I don't have the change for that just yet. The
Yeah.
money for that, but okay,
Yeah.
all right, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. What I do recommend though, like for if I had to do any sort of motion capture now, all of this was actually captured using Move AI. So this is kind of the yeah, this was to do this, I needed 6 GoPros. So I just rented those for the day, and then I had a friend of mine, we went to the park and we were just kind of doing some combat training progress. So, but now they actually have a new iPhone app out. So if you have at least 2 iPhones, then you can kind of do the, sorry. Yeah, so then if you have, yeah, at least 2 iPhones, you can do kind of like motion capture in the sense. So,
Thank I appreciate it though, Steve. Appreciate
yeah,
the
no,
question.
not a problem, not a problem. And then one thing, yeah, before I forget, I really want to show you guys this. This is the Cesium plugin. So I'm from Tokyo, Japan. So this is a little look at my city here. And so when I have clients and we're like, all right, where do we want to shoot? Like if we want, say, like a drone shot of Tokyo, with my clients beforehand, I can actually, am I screen sharing here? Let's see.
No, we
I don't
can't
think you are.
can see.
Now you are.
No,
Oh.
I'm not screen sharing. So you can't see anything that I'm talking about here.
Now we see it.
Cool. All right, sorry guys. All right, so this makes more sense now. So yeah, so I've got the Tokyo. This is where I'm from, the city. We got the Rainbow Bridge. So if I have a client's like, hey Steve, we want a really cool drone shot coming in from the Rainbow Bridge, and this is like going to be the opening and establishing shot of our film. We want to come down. We want our drone to kind of, that's too slow. We want our drone to kind of come in a very cinematic way. Like, okay, we want maybe the drone to kind of come here and then reveal Tokyo Tower. So Tokyo Tower's over there. And I would tell them, well, if you want to go down this way, you know, it's going to kind of come this way. And then maybe the camera is going to kind of pull in like this. So yeah, basically I just kind of sit down with the director. And then once we kind of had our shot and they're like, oh, maybe we want a shot of like kind of Tokyo Tower. How far away from the tower are we gonna have to be where we can get have the tower fully in view? So I'd say, okay, cool. Let's drop a cinema camera in there. And then I'm gonna pilot this guy. So cinema camera actor 3. Boom. All right, where's our Tokyo Tower? Where'd he go? Just make this a wider lens here. So I got a 35 on there now. Let's pop on a 16mm. All right. And I don't like this aspect ratio, so I'm going to take this here. Yeah, sensor height. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste that. I'm going to multiply it by 2.35. There we go. Got a nice little aspect ratio there. And so I would tell my client, okay, cool. We need to be like, if I was like, all right, well, if this is the kind of framing you want, where we're gonna get the whole tower in frame, we need to be approximately, let's see, how far can I go? And I need to get a tip. So I would show him this. I give him a few options. Be like, oh wow, that's perfect, Steve. So how far is that? So what I would do is, okay, so I got my camera here. And then I will take my cylinder. Yeah, so I got my cylinder there, and then I'd probably just take another cube and I kind of eyeball it out. Just gonna drag this out. Say, all right. And then I'd say, okay, so it's approximately, like, I'd say, like, all right, it's approximately 400 meters from Tokyo Tower if you're going to be using a 16mm lens. So you would say, thank you. That saved me a lot of time, Steve. I really appreciate that. So then we get to the spot, and then if the director's like, well, I want to kind of look around. What is it like? Like, are there any things that are going to be when we're shooting? Are there any things that we're going to have to be kind of like aware about? So in using this cesium plugin, I just you need to put down a plane because it takes a little bit to load, which you'll see here in a second. So I'm just going to hit play from here. I just added the third person game components into this level. So here we go. We got the level loading up. So I would kind of walk around with my director and be like, all right, cool. So we have this street here where we can kind of, you know, we can maybe you want the shot where they're walking this way across this, and then maybe the camera is kind of like following back this way here. So I give some kind of options. I probably usually provide like 3 or 4 options. Like, all right, we can do here. Or hey, there's this gas station here that looks kind of neat. Or the client's actually from Volkswagen, and he's like, oh, I really want to have some sort of thing that shows Tokyo and our store, you know? So I was like, oh, this is a great angle. It shows Tokyo Tower and the store. So this is just some ideas. One really cool thing is that you can basically jump around anywhere in the world. So can I have, so basically if I went over to boom. So can I get a location in the world? Where do you guys want to go today?
New York City, of course.
Okay. New York. So we're heading over on to New York. So we're in New York. We're gonna go to Brooklyn, or where we want to go today? Mid Island.
Go to Battery Park.
Battery Park. Okay, New York. All right, so we're going to Battery Park here. Where is it? Oh, the battery.
It's at the tip of the island if you just go a little further down.
Oh, right
Yeah,
Oh,
right
okay,
about
here we go.
Yep.
So what's really cool is you just kind of I'm gonna slide that over here. And then I need to go into my cesium geo reference here. Oops. And I need to kind of see these guys look like. So guys, too many windows open. Okay, so I got my cesium here, and I've got this here. So what we need to do is we need to go onto our cesium, and we got our cesium geo reference and details. All right, so then we're just going to enter in our longitude latitude here. So I just right click here onto the Google Maps, and then from that I can actually just type in. So this one's the latitude, and this one is the longitude. So our first one here, we're going to do 40.70250. Boom. And our second one, we got minus 74.01508. Boom. All right, and that is going to take a little bit to load up, and then it's just going to maximize this. And I believe that park is going to be here. Oh, there we go. And is this the correct park?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Cool. So then my client's like, wow, this is a fantastic location. Let's kind of like walk around this park. So again, you just take a cube, throw it down, just gonna slide it a little bit. And I'm just gonna right click on that and then do play from here. Let it load up for a couple of seconds. And now we can walk around the park. We're going for a little Unreal Park walk today. I haven't been outside yet. I also need to go for a park walk.
So you're using that part, this section as more of a previs, because I know,
Yeah. So this
because
is
you
like,
can't, it's so close. I mean, so busted up when you get down to the street level.
yeah. So basically what I would do is like, I would say like, okay, cool. This is where we want to kind of start mapping. Like, this is just like for a very, very rough idea, kind of like where we want to go. So then where, if we decide, okay, cool, we want to have, we want to kind of have this part here. Yeah, so this is just like for like the previous phase. So then once we decided, okay, cool, we want this area here, and then we decided all of our camera angles. We're like, okay, then I would kind of work with my team, and we would actually kind of create this as like a photo reel asset. We maybe kind of go to this area, we would photo scan this area for our previs. If we wanted like a really, really high level previs, we can kind of do something like that. So this for me is just like kind of a very, very basic previs, or just kind of like a location scout, just to kind of give you an idea of like if you're going to be filming somewhere, especially for drone shots. You're like, okay, well, I kind of know I want it. If you're just communicating to a drone pilot, for example, like I want from here to here, that's the shot that I want. And then you could just send that to your drone pilot, and then they could go quickly just kind of knock that out there for you. So, yeah, so that's just kind of like one of my favorite tools I like to use. Yeah, it just really helps out drone pilots, and then yeah, for like location scouting. So
I know Cesium uses Google Maps. What about utilizing Google Earth?
yeah, I think that if Google, because it streams it in through like an API key. Let's see. If I go in here, so where is, I think it's, yeah, world terrain. Yeah, so if I do from source from cesium ion, if I do it from the source from URL, and then I can basically paste in the link from the API key from that. Maybe it's possible, but yeah, I haven't used Google Earth. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I know Google's they're doing like an overhaul of yeah, they're definitely gonna get some like big updates. I think I've seen like the Google Tours. That was like a recent update that came out a couple months ago. They look really beautiful. I really do predict that in the future, what we're gonna have and what we're gonna see is like a photo real like Google Earth that you can just kind of see all of these assets. So that's pretty exciting for people using Unreal, especially filmmakers. So yeah, so I just want to show you guys. I'm just going to switch over the host to my other guy here. Steve, host. I'm going to switch over to this PC. All right, let's see, got it. And then I'm just going to show you guys a quick little thing. So this is just an example of like a quick little previs thing that I'm hoping to kind of teach in the course. I'm going to share my screen here. You guys see my screen here? It's all black.
Yeah.
Yes.
You remember you can sacrifice yourself to save. You found the first relic, the relic of the mind. There are two more, the relic of the body and the relic of the soul. There will be those who try to steal the relics from you. To become a time traveler, you must attain all three relics and find me. I will be frozen in time and space until you do. This is the path to becoming a time traveler. The journey you have been seeking your whole life. Finally begins now.
Cool. So that was just an example of like a really quick previs that you can just kind of knock out in like a couple, I'd say like a week or two. Just like something that that I'm kind of trying to teach for the Unreal Engine Filmmakers course, kind of starting next month. Basically taking right from the very like storyboards, the concept, and then we'll kind of get into level design, blocking, and then yeah, we'll do some character animation. I'm gonna help with stories, and then we'll kind of take all of that, and then we'll probably pop it into Premiere Pro. So a lot of like the editing I like to do, I like to kind of do through Premiere Pro first, just kind of like recording the animations. And then from that, it gives me like a really good idea of kind of like what the final is going to look like. And so in that little short, there's even one part where I'm actually just in the viewport where I'm just like dragging the character. So that to me is just like let's just do this quickly. Let's just get like the main idea out. And then after we can kind of go ahead and polish it. So I just want to get people really comfortable with like just getting their ideas out and just not being like worried or shy about like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be good enough. It's just the main point is just to get something out there. And yeah, so I just yeah, if anyone finds this helpful, yeah, that would be awesome. So I don't know, do you guys have any other questions about any sort of like the pipeline or workflow that I've been kind of working with, or
yeah, do you use Take Recorder?
yes, I do. I love using Take Recorder.
Okay. I have some issues though with it, because like sometimes like when I'm ever, having an actor, like if let's say for example, I got an asset from off of the Unreal Marketplace, and I've gotten to the point where I've able to put it into the scene, possess it, and then try to film my movement just as the test run. The actor doesn't show up after I've, finish the take and put it into the sequencer. And I'm just curious, I would just for the life of me, I've been trying to figure out how can I see that actor in the playback in the sequencer.
Yeah, there's like a little box you got to check. Sorry, I had the same problem too. Like for the longest time, like I would do Take Recorder, and then like I also wouldn't know where my animations would go. Yeah, there's a few settings you have to just like check little check off, and then it should be good to go. So are you using the metahuman characters, or which characters are you using?
It's like a little drone I got off of Unreal Engine. It was like a smart playable drone. It's just like a little character. It's not a metahuman or anything like that, but it is a character off of Unreal Engine's marketplace.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think that let's see if I can find it here quick. I think this is for the face. Let's see, body. I think that you need to make sure you have the animation on like use custom mode, and then yeah. So this also have this turned off here. So if I have this turned on, for example, okay, it does work. But if I have if I use animation blueprints, for example, oh, it is still working. Yeah, so it's just fixed on this. So yeah, this just make sure you have like the use custom mode, and then have disable post processing. I have this like turned off. So that might solve the issue that you're having. That was like one of the issues that I was having. Yeah, if you have any problems, just maybe take a screen recording and then fire it my way, and I'll see if I can help you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Great. Do you guys have any other questions?
Hey, this is Eric. I'm sorry I came in a little late. I have a quick question about the process. So you jumped from Unreal right into Premiere Pro. Did you, or like, are you talking about your final renders right now, or or is this all previs that you're talking about?
This is all previs. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so for me, one of the things that I kind of discovered early on is just kind of like playing with the camera, because like in Unreal, like you have this ability to just like take like you take your camera anywhere you want, and what I'll do is I'll just like kind of like loop these animations of like I'll just kind of like loop my sequence, and I'll say like, all right, I'm gonna try the camera here, and then this will all just be a screen recording, and then I'll throw that into Premiere, and then from Premiere I'll kind of start to add like some like placeholding music. I'll just use this kind of like first previs, rough previs as like a very basic idea. So then showing this to a director, you're like, okay, this is kind of what I think you want. And then just, I like to work in broad strokes, especially with like directors, because sometimes it's just like, they don't know what they want. They're like, well, just try something. We'll see what that looks like. I don't want to put too much time into doing, I don't want to spend too much time into the Unreal sequencer, because I don't feel like I have as much control as I would in Premiere. So yeah, I really like that workflow of kind of just doing something really rough with like screen recordings, and then rendering that out, showing the director, and then he can kind of make some comments, and then once it kind of gets like close, then you can kind of start to bring that into Unreal sequencer, and then just kind of take from there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Can I sorry to jump in again. I saw in that animation you were doing earlier with the martial arts scene with your metahuman.
Yeah.
Maybe can you touch upon how you would go about, your workflow of grabbing an object to letting it go, or throwing something, how would you go about doing that?
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and share my screen. So that's a very good. So my character, he has lost his head now. I think it's I click that. There we go. So in this, he does drop. So you can see. So there. So he just kind of throws it. He throws it away here. Boom. So to do that, let's see. So we have our pipe, our cylinder here. And so we need to use a function of like attach and detach. So we have our cylinder here. And then what we need to do is we need to create, so you go into track, and then you go to attach new, and then you go onto our character, and then you attach it to his hand. And then what you're gonna need to do is you need to zero it out. So once you've done the attach, it's gonna, when you attach an object to a character, it's gonna, the object's gonna go like way over here. So what you need to do is you need to zero out the location. So what that's gonna do is, so if I take my cylinder and I attach it to my metahuman's hand, the origin point here is gonna be represented here. So once you zero this out, and then it's going to be kind of like probably really funky, and then you just kind of do the rotation. And then there's a little, I'm not going to go too into detail of this now, but basically when he drops it, you do a detach, and then you match that last frame up with the previous frame. And that's the best way that I found to do any sort of like attach and detach. So yeah, it turns out pretty good. And then if you want to add, I haven't done this yet, but you can add like a physics layer where, because as you see, this kind of falls in a funny way. It's like, so you could add like some physics to that if you wanted to like make it a little smoother. So yeah, I could, yeah, and of course I kind of go through like some like the more like in-depth details of like kind of like the animation, the attach and the detach stuff.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right, so I think that's our time for today, unless anyone had a question. Alpesh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So I'm gonna hand this over to Alpesh. So Alpesh, you want to just go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to take any break, like 5 minutes or something, or you guys are okay?
You the host here. We could probably just jump right into it.
Okay, no worries. Then let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Alpesh Parekh, and I'm the concept artist at Future House Studio recently. I'm living in San Francisco, California, and mostly my part is like my job is to create the concept and everything in a studio. I mostly focus on making environments, either like exterior or interior or anything. And I also create the creature design or the character design as well in a studio. So I graduated in Academy of Art University in San Francisco, and after that I got a job in a Future House studio, and still I'm working in like VR and AR games. My past project was to work with like Disney and live interaction as well. I have worked in Cascade. There was like a VR games and everything. We work on the live concert as well. It was amazing project as well. I learned a lot. So meanwhile, I'm just giving the idea of what's a concept art and everything. Do you guys know what's a concept art, or like what's a concept actually? I just need to ask you, like, what do you understand when you like heard the concept art then?
Is that a question for us?
Yeah. Sorry.
So the concept is basically just the idea. It's what the vision is, and then the artist will come out and create different renditions of what that, idea is.
Right. So mostly we need like whatever the visual is, whatever the film is, or anything, right? We need a concept. We need a story. So before we make anything, we need a story, and we make a visual, but it needs to be telling something, story, right? That's a concept art. So here I'm gonna tell you what exactly the concept art and what we need it for, why we need it for, and how we create it, right? So what, why, and how we create the concept art. So let's say if you're working in the studio, everyone knows like we have a brief or like a story or any kind of ideas, and we need like a storyboarding or anything like a rough sketch, right? But how we execute the idea on the paper or on the any digital form, right? So we need like a detail, we need like images or the references or anything, right? We create a character or the creature or anything, right? So before we go ahead, we need a detail like a brief, just like story. What's the story behind? Like, is the character from this world or that world, or in the real life, or on the Earth or the different planet? So we have to create the whole environment or whole the idea. So before we proceed, we need like strong idea or the story. We need to understand how we and what we creating. So what is requirement in concept or like any film or any kind of commercial like a film or like any advertisement, right? So we need storytelling movements, storytelling ideas, visuals, and everything, right? So we need to make the rough sketches or anything, right? And then we started the gathering like the images or like make thumbnails or kind of like what's exactly story point look like, right? So we have to get more references. We have to make the concept like what's a composition will look like and everything in a storytelling. That's we have to create, right? And after that, we have to create the mood boards. So what is mood board is, let's see, if you're making any kind of genre like a horror or sci-fi or any kind of fantasy movie, game, or anything, right? So we need a mood board to create like how it look like is it like environment is raining or dark or like sun or like sunny or something, right? And after that, we need to make kind of like rough sketches and all. So here's the basic things. After all the things, like we created the story, we created the storyboard or anything, right? We need a composition. Like we understand previous with the Steve that like he was like finding out the what's the camera angle look like or the camera will be. We need to understand what's the lenses as well, right? So we all know what is the rule of third or like what's the camera angle will be or something, but it's in our hand, I mean in a head, but we can't explore in a software or in the paper, right? So basic idea is we have to understand what would be the composition first. After that, we can put light, camera, assets, everything, right? So we have to understand the composition before we go ahead to make any thumbnails, before we make any rough sketches or anything, right? So we have to understand what's extreme shot would be look like, because when you make the concept or the storyboard or anything, we have to show to the audience what's story behind this, right? So we have to compose the whole stage or hold the idea with, let's say if I give you the idea like there's like extreme close-up shot or like just looking at the eyes and he's like serious or something angry or something, like, you know. So that's a concept, that's a storytelling. If somebody, the character is very angry, then how we can show to the audience, right? We cannot show to the extreme shot. We cannot see his eyes or we cannot see his face. So we have to understand what kind of composition we are like using. So that's the main point. So the composition should be like appropriate to the story, right? So here's the example I'm gonna show you over here on this screen. You can see, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, no worries. So there's like two horse riders. They're like one character is a sheriff and other character is the doctor. We cannot see, but there is like story going on in between, right? So there is a church, they are going to the church, they're talking something, we don't know, but there is some story are going on in this whole frame, right? So I'm gonna show you how I created and how we can execute the whole idea on this one. So I have made like, so I'm using the Blender right now. You can compose the whole scenario or the whole environment in this software, and you can like transfer to the Unreal as well. My job is to give only one idea or two idea or three idea, just like a visuals. I don't have to make the animation, but I have to make the composition, cinematics, or the storytelling movements, and then you can make any kind of like, you know, the animation. But before that, I have to give the idea. So this is okay. This is a wide shot I use, and this is just like a close-up shot. So you can set up the camera. You can have like a maybe extreme like opening shot or something like this, and give the story by the concept, right? So I'm gonna this scene. Okay. So I'm using I use like a lot of stuff in this one. I use Pixel Megascan as well. I use a lot of Texture and all here. Okay. It's gonna take like a little bit, few seconds, but it's gonna pop up. Okay. You guys can see, right?
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay. So if you want to go to the Unreal or Unity as well, you want to make the how the camera or the environment will look like, or the concept will look like, you have to make any kind of the concept, right? So I made like the whole stage over here, and let me just delete this one, and created just a small environment and created with like a bunch of add-ons as well, which is right over here. Okay. So yeah, here. So I'm using this scatter for the scatter system for the bunch of the tree and environment, like the vegetation. My PC is a little bit slow. Okay. And then after I just rendered everything and put it into the Photoshop and create the whole idea, like how I can, you know, to make the environment look like. But over here, you can see there is like only the foreground. There is no background. You can paint over on this to the Photoshop, and you can make any kind of like changes what you want, right? Another shot I just want to show you is here. So this is extreme wide shot, and I use for like a long shot, and this is just I'm giving the idea like how it look like. So this is the second story I was just making the last week, and this was only actually the architecture for the monkey kingdom that just make I just made a story behind it, and I just make like this idea in a 3D code. You can use this 3D code to make assets and all, and I can show you. I created this. Let me just close this. Yeah. Okay. So as Steve tell you that like you can make the whole environment in a world creator. I just made the whole this mountain, and put some more trees and everything on this island by the scatter system. And then I put some clouds and everything on as a plane, you can see. So my main idea is the concept art is like how I want to play with this whole scenario and give the like storytelling movements, right? I'm gonna show you the example so you can understand what I want to show you. So this is the 1-pixel brush. Guys, they just made the whole environment. Like the first, they're gonna make the storytelling concept art, and they're gonna make the whole idea in
Hi,
an
my name
Unreal
is
Engine.
Shane. I'm the creative director of 1-Pixel Brush, and I want to unpack our concept art process a little bit because it's changed quite a bit in the past 10 years. This is a shot of obviously a medieval setting, a rider and some soldiers. Now, a shot like this would take the better part of a week, but
You guys can hear, right?
this
Yeah.
alternate shot of the same rider closer up, looking at another soldier, creating a sort of story moment, took only a fraction of that time. The reason for that is because quite a bit of the process is done in 3D. Back in the day, we used to do drawings. This is Ralph McQuarrie, the legendary Star Wars concept artist. He would do a drawing like this. Then to color it, he would start acrylic painting it by hand, which was time-consuming, difficult, and took an incredible amount of skill. But now we do this. Now this may look exactly like the concept we saw previously, but you see if I were to click and drag, you'll notice this is actually a 3D scene. Now the advantage of that is immense, because now we can create all kinds of framings, all kinds of compositions, all kinds of layouts. We can move characters and pieces around pretty easily in order to either better tell your story or try a bunch of different ideas. Another thing that's very easy to change, the lighting. So if I were to turn off the sun, we could see exactly what the scene looks like in ambient light. Let's say we wanted something a little more moody. We could try it out pretty easily. Another thing that's easy to change, skies. So let's say we put another sky in here and we want to move it around. Try something that's a little more sunset, something that's a little more backlit, something that has a little more color in it to match the mood of the story or the mood of the gameplay setting. All of that is relatively quick and easy to do, as you can see. Now, the reason I wanted to show this is because many people who commission concept art think it's just a still image, a one-off. And there's so many more things that it can be used for if you think about it in this framework, including pretty well-realized storyboards, pretty well-realized keyframe shots for a cinematic or for a trailer, pretty well-realized game design setups. If you're a game director or an art director and you want to create a point here that you want the player to know to go to, it's pretty simple for us to help you create an environment that leads the eye of the player to the right gameplay goals. So whatever you're doing, whether it's a film, a game, key art, the 3D process that we use is very well suited to giving you lots of flexibility from what you can get from your concept art. All right, thanks so much for listening. We look forward to working with you.
So this was the example to how we created this whole environment and why we created this environment. So in a game, we need a story or the concept. So we can show to the art director and they can make like the whole game or anything. I'm gonna show you another piece, I guess, if they have. Let me share, which is, yeah, right here. So this is Unreal Engine. They made like whole scene for the Diablo. So first of all, they created the whole scene in a Blender, created the whole concept, and then they executed in a real engine, Unreal Engine. But before you go ahead in Unreal Engine, you need some ideas or environment or the light or the character or any kind of assets. So you can understand what we're gonna put on the Unreal Engine. And you can make a game or animation or film, anything. Right? Is there any question or anything before I go ahead? No. Okay, no worries.
Alpesh, have you had an opportunity to try to bring a scene from Blender into Unreal yourself?
Well, I don't use that much Unreal, to be honest with you, but as I worked with you previously as well, like I work on the assets and everything. I put some stuff in a Blender and then send it to the Unreal Engine and just made the environment, I guess. So that's the only thing I did. But you can make bunch of like assets and everything. I can show you. Let me. Yeah, so I think here. So you can make kind of you can make bunch of asset design and in a ZBrush or in any kind of software like a 3D code as well, and put something asset over here. You can state design the whole thing in a Blender and make a what do you call the FBX file, and you can just throw into the Unreal Engine. So that way you can create the whole kind of interior or exterior design. I can show you one of my work. So this is I just made like the whole scene over here in a Blender. And you can just make. So if your art director just want like, hey, I just want this kind of story and I just want to make this kind of environment, then you can just create the whole thing, and then you can give to the main, like you guys, like you can put it into Unreal Engine and then you can use this whole thing. So this is I just recently made a final output. I can show you right over here. I created bunch of like different shots and everything. I can show you here. Not here. Okay. Sorry, I have like lots of bunch of. Okay, right here. So I created like the wide shot. Mostly I work on like the whole environment and everything. So I just keep as like wide shot and all. So one shot was like really like the left hand side camera and just focusing on this character, and just your eye goes like the other side. So that way you can create the whole story, and you can see over here there's like top camera angle, and you can create the whole story. So, and here's the one other one. Yeah. So this is like a little bit wide angle, but I'm just using like, like slanted kind of camera angle, as you were like, looking for the different angles and everything that you can play with. Yeah, so that's the main idea. Mostly what I do is I create the whole environment in a 3D, like the Blender or Cinema 4D, and put it into the Photoshop, and then I just paint over on the top. So you can see over here, I'm just like changing the background over here. I have created like this the tree, which is like fake. You can just photobase and everything. So you can use any kind of angles, and you can create the whole story, and then you can show to the art director, hey, this is my first idea, what do you think? You can make a story or film. So here's the second one. I'm gonna show you. So previously it was just only this image. I just rendered this one first and like autocorrect everything, and then put some clouds in it, so you can see the what's environment will look like. I added some birds so it can give you like an idea, like maybe it's kind of like live environment, and add some kind of like textures and all, more clouds, just paint over on the top, and then create the whole scene. But in this, your eyes should go to the direction what you want to focus on, right? So let's say if you want to focus only this this architecture, right? So you have to make the composition according to the story or what you want to show. So you can see I use these lines to go over here. All the lines are like going here, right? So you can see here, this lines. So you can focus on this only. I didn't created the whole scene according to this whole environment, but I find my camera over here. Previously, I was like struggling to like, what I want. Do I want this angle or that angle or different angle, right? So making the huge or like epic level, I just want to make one shot, but I was just like finding the story behind the shot, So that's why I thought like, hey, I just want to go with this shot and like, maybe I find this, but this is not like impressive shot. So I just changed my whole idea and created the whole angle on this one. So yeah, and I'm gonna show you my process over here. So after, oh, sorry, this is a little bit, sometimes window is not working. So after I got the whole story and everything, I create the more like thumbnails. I gather all the bunch of like, the images and everything, references, images. I just make like my story, like, some kind of like idea, what's my brain thinking, the first idea. I create like bunch of composition first. And what I'm thinking, what's my first idea on the draft, just like rough. So you can see I'm creating a lot of thumbnails. And I'm gonna find out like what would be the base composition in an environment. Do I want to put some characters in it or any kind of like, let's say if you are in a different planet or you would just want to show to the audience like one big sheep is coming from direction, some other direction, you can put something. So over here, this is, I was creating as like the small village. And in this village, it is some other planet, but the whole idea is like I just want to create kind of like that environment looks like the Star Wars kind of theme. But if it's like a different planet, then what should I have to make? Should be like different shape language or some kind of like different shapes, right? So I was thinking like if there is like a small village, so how can I create kind of like, the environment or the characters in it so people can think this is a different environment, different planet or something, right? So I created like a bunch of like triangles and like different huts and everything I'm just focusing on. But you can see the background and the ground is like related to the earth. So you can see over here, I created, so this assets and everything I created in a 3D code. I just use Quixel bridge for the texture and everything. I use scatter and everything, and again I just keep it into the Photoshop and paint over on the top. I'm using this 3D code over here, and you can see I'm just using bunch of like tools in a 3D code and using the stencil on it, making kind of like design on the pillar, which can represent the culture or like design. Maybe if you are going to the different theme, then you can create anything. So this is different scene I'm making, which I showed you before. I just created the whole scene over here, state composition in a blender, and then I render it, and after that I created the whole concept art in a Photoshop and just paint over on the top, which I showed you right here. So yeah, this is the main idea about the concept of how I create and what's my process is. Any kind of question or any kind of help or anything if you want to ask?
I'm kind of curious, have you like in like your post processing when you're kind of going through the Photoshop process, have you used have you had a chance to integrate any sort of like the AI? Because I know Adobe Firefly, they've kind of integrated some of like the AI elements, and I'm kind of curious, like how have you had a chance to integrate any of those any of the AI tools in your workflow?
So according to me, what I'm thinking is like AI is working well, which is not bad. But in case just like if you want to use some background or anything, you can use. But let's say if you want to as you see like previous this project. So you can get the more idea from the AI, but you cannot create the whole, the environment in AI. So
Yeah.
AI working just like one image is good, but let's say if your client want to do something and AI cannot make that. So some level it's working, but it's working. So according to me, I create everything by myself. I don't use that much AI. I think I can get the help from the AI, but if like there's like only scratch idea that I created by myself.
Yeah, I think that I think that like AI, it is an amazing tool, and I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I totally agree with you. I think AI will like get you only like so far. Like I think it'll get you like you can generate like from Mid-Journey like as like
Yeah.
basic. I use Journey all the time for like basic kind of concepts, and it's
Mm.
come pretty far, but there's a lot that it's not quite there yet. And then as you said, for like clients, you have to be able to finesse it, you have to be able to touch it and kind of get
Yeah,
it
yeah.
3D. So I think that what you're doing is like very valuable, I think.
I can show you one of the example. So I work in avatar character design, not correct, creature design. That was for the mobile game. Actually, we were making in VR and everything. We are just like using. So as you can see over here, we were like creating this kind of like the fish and everything. We tried also used kind of like I think Mid-Journey.
Yeah.
But the Disney guys didn't want to use like some kind of stuff which we cannot create in AI. So they want to mix and match every creature and all. You can see, I mean, you already saw the Avatar movie, right? But those creature is belong to Earth as well, but on a different planet. So we just mix everything by ourselves. So we had like bunch of ideas and everything. We struggle a lot, I guess, about how we can create like this kind of creature. We don't know, but it's in a real life, right? But it's on another planet as well. So we have to mix everything, and and so let's say we were using Unity as well. So we have to make those kind of character. We can like let's say. Okay, this is what we were doing. I'm just giving you the idea. Like we were making like lots of face and everything first, the body as well, and the tail as well, right? So on that base, we cannot create just only the face. We can get only idea, like you can make like bunch of but into that we cannot create the whole kind of this idea.
Yeah, I think AI can get you about maybe 65% of the way there. Like it's kind of a rough idea. We're like, well, we like this, but we don't like all of these other things. So but yeah, I think in terms of like for the post processing, like if you wanted to add like clouds, I think they have like if you like highlighted an area like, oh, I want a deer here, you could do like a generative fill in that. But to get like the composition and everything, you definitely need to have these skills.
I tried AI as well. I can show you. Okay, I think so. Oh no, not here. So I using this this scene, I guess. I was just like planning not to like, mess around, but I was just thinking like, I just make this scene, right? But there's no head on this character. So what if AI can generate, right? So I hope I have that, or maybe not in my laptop, because I have like a lot of bunch of stuff in a
Yeah.
yeah, right here. So I use the AI, and you can see
Kind
it
of
create
curious
like
what you could. It's not bad,
so I just like rendered the one scene, and there's you can see there's no more ground over here, right?
Yeah.
And there's no head over here. So I created this, and I was like, oh, okay, this is working, which is normal. I mean it's working somehow. But on the other base, if I talk about that project, about like the creature design, which is not
Yeah.
helping. So some way it's working, some way it's not working.
Yeah, I think so. I like the in Photoshop how you can just kind of highlight the generative fill. I think that's like a
Mhm.
pretty like for clouds and just like small details. It's just like
Right.
a kind of nice brush up, but
Yeah. That's
I
true.
think it's works well.
Yeah. I mean, so you can see over here, like, I just want to make this story, like in my head, like I'm still creating this story. I hope so until next week, I'm gonna make some kind of story. I have in my back of the mind, like, I just want to make one of the story, just like this sheriff is searching for someone, and he got the news or something, like, idea that the criminal is in this church hiding, right? So this is just a small story, but I'm gonna make according to, like, they are just talking about something. We don't know what's talking about. So after one shot, I just got like this close-up shot, and he just like talking or something, right? And after next shot, I'm gonna make the criminal is hiding over there in the church. He's maybe bleeding or something going on. So there's like story behind this. So this kind of story, I can make it into the software, but I cannot make it into AI.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? So that's my point. Which is helping, but some ways not. Yeah. So yeah, and any question for you guys?
Terrence or Sashin, Eric or Corner, you guys have any questions?
Anyone? It's okay. Otherwise, I can move forward. I can show you my other work as well.
Yeah, you can keep moving on.
Okay. So this is my portfolio, and you can see. Oh yeah, and I just want to show you one other this artwork as well. This is, so I showed you guys like outside exterior design and everything. The idea, I want to go with interior. So let me show you that. So, yes, sometimes it's very heavy file, so kind of like. Yeah, here. So this is just a rough idea. I created like a bunch of blocks and everything. You can, even if you don't know what you want to execute in a story or whatever, you don't know what to do, right? You can just block into maybe Unreal or in a Blender, and you can just like, use the Boolean and everything, just cut out everything, and then just make rough idea, right? And then you can also photobus in a Photoshop. You can just play with that, and you can create your own story, because I know sometimes, as people know, like, they are struggling with the storyboard, like they don't know how to draw, or they don't know what to do, right? They don't know even the character how it would look like. So, but in the job, we have to show to the art director, like, hey, I'm thinking this shot would be good or that shot would be good, but this is my story, if you can understand. So you can make some kind of like blocking and just play with the, and bring it to the Photoshop and just make like rough idea. I'm gonna show you one of my recent project. I'm just like talking with the Steve.
Just hanging
Just
out.
bring, okay. So you can even use the Blender with like, if you know guys, can I just pop up? Yeah. I think I showed you before as well. So this is, I use Laser tool and created like bunch of just rough lines and created the kind of like futuristic futuristic city, and just got this render because I just wanted to know what I'm thinking and what would be look like, just the overall like look and feel, and created bunch of sketches. And I can show you, yeah, this one. So I play around and just like, give the rough idea and just like, put some colors in it in a Photoshop and just created the first idea. You can play with this kind of stuff as well in a concept art. Like if you don't know anything and what's your rough sketch or like what's your rough idea would look like, you can just, play with the Blender and create this kind of, the line and just find out what would be the base angle, right? And you can search just for like blocking.
I think your rough sketches are much better than my stickmen.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know anything, right, in
Yeah.
a like storyboarding, and then
Yeah.
you can just play around. You can just put some kind of like camera over here and like oh, it's maybe going inside or like going like panning the camera or something. I don't know the story, but just make it.
Is there a function so that this tool here is basically like you're kind of like doing the rough sketch draw? Is there like a function that converts like the rough sketch to kind of analyze and create into mesh?
You can make a mesh as well. If I can show you, let me see. So you can convert into the like path or anything, and then you can convert into let me try if I can make this. It's been a while. Yeah, you can convert the whole thing in I have to check because I don't remember right now, but you can create the whole mess over here. I created one of the kind of like spaceship, but it's been a while, so yeah. I think so in my portfolio, but
yeah, if you don't have it now, that's fine. I was just
it'd
be a really cool idea just to be able to draw and then like convert to mesh, and
yeah,
you can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, this is from my side. I don't know if you guys have a question or need to ask anything, just let me know.
Do you want to tell people about the concept art class that's coming up next month?
Yes, so we are launching. So we are launched month, I think so, July 2nd, the concept art class, which is I'm gonna teach about like 4 weeks. And in that course, I'm gonna teach you like how I created the whole process in a concept art, how to make the cinematics in a like whole 4 weeks. And you can learn exterior, interior, the storytelling movements, cinematics as well, and you can use it into like making concept art or storytelling, kind of like cinematics or anything. Right now it's like 50% off, so we are giving like 499. So yeah. And Steve has the same, I guess, for the
Yeah,
Unreal Engine.
if you want to go over to the Unreal Education, just so we don't have to switch hosts. Yeah, so right now we have the Unreal Engine Filmmakers class, also the same price, half discounted there. That's going to be the 4-week, and then starting also in July. Week 1, we're going to kind of go, just want to stay on week 1 there for just 1 sec. Yeah, so in week 1, we are just going to go over the Unreal Engine interface. We're going to go over some of the assets, plugins. We're going to go over some very basic concept design. We're going to give, I have like a storyboard template. We're just going to kind of fill that out with kind of pencil. And then we're going to do very basic block out with camera. And I'm going to teach you guys file organization in week 2. We're going to jump right into doing level design, lighting, materials, megascans, and HDRIs. And then week 3, I'm going to actually pop into a motion capture suit. We're going to do some animation, talk about control rig, sequencer, metahuman, character creator 4, iClone 8 pipeline, and we're going to do some live link. We're going to have some fun stuff there. And week 4, we're going to top it off. We're going to render. We're going to do the stuff with the Premiere Pro edit, sound, and we're going to do the final presentation. So by the end, everyone should have a really cool, fully rendered CG film for their portfolio. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, just shoot us an email, and definitely happy to help out in any way that we can.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, I think that's our time for today. I think we'll cut it off here, unless you guys have any other questions.
I actually have a couple of questions just about your course.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'm sorry, there might be, you can cut me off at any time, but a couple questions about the course are, I guess, so I'm like Unreal sort of illiterate. Like I've jumped into the program a couple times, done some, not a lot of stuff. Is this a beginner friendly course?
Yeah, this is I would say this is like a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So there's kind of like I kind of didn't teach it in 3 ways, and you're gonna kind of go like, if you're a beginner and like if you've never touched Unreal, within the first day you're gonna be kind of in there. You're gonna be playing. We're gonna be blocking things out, and then yeah. So like even before the course starts, I'll send you kind of like a storyboard template. And it's gonna, and there you're gonna kind of sketch out your ideas, because for me, I think that one of the big problems that I had myself with like kind of like playing with Unreal, there's so many tools to play with, it's super overwhelming. So in this course, I'm gonna keep you very focused, very like, we're gonna follow a path, and we're gonna kind of like take these ideas, even if it's stickmen, like you have to complete these like storyboards, and then we're gonna kind of go into doing the block out. And just like kind of like even getting familiar with like in 3D, if you don't even have that experience, just with like the super grid, which I was kind of showing you before, we're going to kind of block those, just having a mannequin in there and moving around that camera. Like that first day getting in there, you're going to start to feel like, oh, wow, okay,
cool.
I'm getting a hang for it. And then each like lesson, we're just going to add something. We're like, all right, we're going to add material. Like, how do I change this material to a red color, and like, and then, okay, now we know now we got colors. And then we're going to jump into sequencer. So I'm going to kind of take your hand. You can go as fast and as hard. Like if you're looking to go really intense, for the whole weeks, for the whole 4 weeks, if you have any questions at any time, I'm definitely an open book. So okay, cool. Yeah, you can ask any questions for those whole 4 weeks, and then you'll also be kind of part of the Discord channel. So you'll also be able to kind of present your work, get feedback at any point. So yeah, it's 4 weeks. It can be as intense as you want, but then for those that just kind of like want to do it more casually, all of the lessons are recorded. So I know everyone has like very busy schedules, so you can kind of go really at your own pace. So if you wanted to make a whole film, I can help you make a whole film. If you want to kind of go and just go at your leisurely pace, no pressure. So it's as much as you're willing to put into it.
Okay, awesome. That leads me into, I'm so sorry, I do have like just a couple more questions. That leads me into another question, which is an easy one, I think. But how
Yeah.
is there a limit to the amount of people you're going to be accepting? You know, just thinking about how much of a focus, you know,
Yeah,
you're
so
one person, so I don't want to overextend you.
yeah. So I think that I'm probably gonna take anywhere between 10 and 15 students. I like to kind of keep it around 10. It's like a good amount to manage, just so that I can give the amount of time that I need to each student to kind of really help them out. Because like usually on like the first day of the week, on like the Sunday, we kind of go into lessons, and then Thursday is like a whole day where any questions, any problems you have like with the project, because I know with Unreal, like even I still have problems. Like there's days where I'll find a problem, and I want you to get used to like problem solving. So in Unreal, there's like this like barrier, like this little like learning curve that you got to get over, and you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you have to be comfortable with like not knowing the answer right away, and being comfortable like looking up like, okay, how do I do this problem? And I'll kind of like take you through the process of problem solving, because there's like so many different ways to get to like the end result for Unreal, because there is such a vast system. So I'll kind of take you through that process. So yeah, sorry, to answer your question, about 10 to 15 students.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So then, so my background is I am a 3D animator, and I've been doing it for a long time. So everything you're saying tracks with me really well. Like it sounds like any any new software that's a little sophisticated. A lot of it is problem solving. So that being said, also what you were talking about, and what I was trying to kind of ask earlier, but I didn't word it the right way, was so everything you talked about sounds really good. But again, like the final, like what I heard is like, okay, so we're taking it to a previs kind of level, bringing it into, basically at the end of it, it sounds like, okay, we'll have a pretty looking previs, but I'm a little interested in some of the things that I know that Unreal is capable of, like rendering out AOVs, and like kind of the whole like I said, I've just touched a little bit, but the post-processing in Unreal, and kind of like I'm kind of interested to see like some high quality images coming out of Unreal.
Yeah,
and
of
I'm
course.
wondering if this course is the right course to kind of learn that stuff.
Yeah, so I think that if you're, so like I'd say like the main focus is to try to get like the basics, the fundamental, the story, everything kind of blocked out with the animation. And then at the end, we kind of like, depending on how hard or how like much you want to go into it, and depending on really like the demand of the students, I kind of tailor the course a little bit to what the students' wants and needs are. So if you're wanting to have kind of like more of like an architectural visualization, kind of like polished render, we can kind of do that more towards the end. So I just want to make sure that all of my students have like something by the end, like even if it's a previs, because like some people kind of put more effort than others. So if you get yours to the point where we can kind of take it to that next level, and I'd be happy to definitely help you, because for my background, like I do like photorealistic renders for TV and film. So it's got to be to the point where I don't know which ones. I like to play the game called Real or Unreal. Like you can't tell the difference. So that's kind of like, if you want to get to that level, you got to work really hard in the beginning, and then we can kind of get to that point. So definitely happy to help you if you want to get to that point, if that's where you want to go.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, and then also like if you're interested, like another little part of my background is doing the LED virtual production. So I do like the green screen virtual production, and I also do like I'm kind of like learning more like the workflow with like the green screen. So I've got this really cool tool, the Mars Vive. So just a quick little bit on this piece here. So this is the Mars Vive cam tracker. So this thing is just like, it kind of like, this is the cam track. My background's not working there. So so this kind of like fits on top of like a camera. I've got like a red camera that I play with. So if some of the students in the class are interested in like doing like the virtual production, and I also do like resell the Mars Vive through my company. So if you want to grab a Mars Vive cam track, I can also set you up with that. So this is like a really good tool for spaces that are about 10 meter by 10 meter in space. And so if you want to do like the set design, or have like a green screen, I can kind of teach you those workflows. So yeah, it's a course that's kind of I kind of like day one, I kind of see what everyone wants, what everyone needs, and what everyone's kind of excited about, and I just take all that information, then we can kind of work together to make some cool stuff.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Cool. All right, so do you guys have any other questions? All right, well, I know everyone's got stuff that they probably want to do today. So thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Alpesh, thank you so much for joining us. And again, he has his course that he's going to be offering beginning of the next month. So if you're wanting to do more like the concept design and composition, I definitely sign up for his course. And then I also have the Unreal Engine for filmmakers, more kind of on the Unreal side. So yeah, we're just kind of offering a little bit of both, and hope you guys can join us next month for our courses, and we can just teach you some cool stuff.
Yes.
So, all right.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone. For
All right.
joining.
Yeah. And then I'll also have this recording online. So if you guys missed anything, we'll just have it there. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.